So from 19 to 38, what was the hardest year of your life and why? I think that's a good question, and I don't have a definitive year or a definitive thing that happened that is that I can think of. But what I would say was initially when I started out, you have this battle of this ingrained thought of what is possible to achieve, and then this nagging sense that you have potential that's greater than what you think, and there's this battle that plays out in your head. Now, when I started out, I remember purchasing my first property at 19, and I remember the thought of, well, what do I do? Rent the property out. The usual thoughts: what happens if they trash the flat? What happens if they don't pay the rent? Where do I get the money from to do the repairs? Where do I get the money to pay the mortgage? What if there's big expenses? And you can build this whole idea of why not, all the potential risks. And what that burden was heavy at the start, because when you're starting out, these things are meaningful. And what you tend to find over the course of, even in that example, was 6 months later, the rent was paid, the house wasn't trashed, the tenants were good, and there was all that worry for nothing. Now, it could have went the first way. It's happened, but it didn't. And the reality was that the huge thing that had made it at the start was much. It was blown out of proportion relative to what happened, and that goes back to what you think is possible at that point in your life versus what you think the potential is. So what was possible was all this stuff, and then what the potential was that it was actually okay. And there's that constant battle. And when you start out, that is the strongest that you'll experience. That is particularly if you make big jumps. So, like, for instance, if you take a big step out into the world, to give you an example, say you're looking to get a promotion in your job, or you are planning to go self-employed and go out on your own, or you're planning to start a business and employ people and that type of things. They are big steps from wherever you've been to what you're trying to achieve. And that dynamic of this to and fro happens. And I would say that the thing that stands out to me was the psychological battle between this, limited frame of mind to the possibility. Is you need to conduct those battles, and you're quite rightly that this one grew and this one diminished. And what happens is that gains confidence, and when you gain confidence, what happens is you're able to broaden your horizons. That comes across when you speak to people, comes across when you interact with people. People can sense that confidence. People know that there's something there. And then if you combine that with a track record where you carry out these ventures, whatever they may be, you start to get quite good at it. And that then builds confidence. That builds your reputation. Your reputation then gets about, tie that in with your confidence. So it's continuing to grow. Then it develops and it develops and develops. And people will be able to pick that up straight away. And that goes back to the first thing, like, why is masterminds important? Use your intuition, because you'll be able to detect if someone is, putting on a bit of a front, and you'll also be able to work out somebody's deeply confident, because you can sense it. You can tell with the energy, you can tell with their posture, you can tell with the way they come across, how smoothly they speak. Another thing that's really interesting about confident people is their ability to listen. So they'll be able to hear what it is that you're saying, and they're putting themselves in your shoes. Because the thing that a lot of people go through, like I mentioned, with the dynamic of trying to have this limited mindset when you initially start out, and then this potential part is that they'll be able to remember that what that was like at different stages when they were limited and less limited and less limited, until they made the swap over to just understanding that limited thought pattern wasn't doing them any good. And they'll be able to hear you, they'll be able to understand, they'll be able to talk to you. And that is a real art that confident people have, and you'll be able to tell when you speak to them. So use that as your measure as well, and that will stand you in good stead. But in summary, what I would say would be, when you face that battle, try not to think of it in terms of extremes. So just don't think anything is completely possible and only the best thing will happen, because you'll be surprised if it goes against you. And then don't think in terms of it's everything's a disaster and nothing will work, because then you'll never try anything. It's about finding harmony. And when you find that harmony in the middle, what happens is you'll probably start from the limited sort of more pessimistic thought process, and you'll see yourself as you grow and develop start to shift across to that more optimistic and powerful, potential driven side of the scale, and you'll see yourself move. And don't be afraid of it, embrace it, but just do know that it's a bit of a battle.